Good evening, everybody. My name is Barry Mandel. I'm the president of Discovery Green, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all here to this next edition of our Discovery Discussions presented by Southwest Airlines. We thank Southwest as well as those other folks that helped make tonight possible. That is St. Arnold's Brewing Company as well as Midstate Wine. And so I invite you throughout the evening, please enjoy courtesy of St. Arnold's and Midstate Wine's libations to enjoy during the night. I also would be remiss if I didn't introduce one of the graduates of our Discovery Discussion events who actually just joined us. Cam Franklin from the Suppers is here. She is a legend, and we love her. We're thrilled to have you all here. Discovery Discussions came about as we were just kind of talking, and we thought about wouldn't it be great to bring some change makers, some newsmakers together, and to allow us as an audience just to be able to listen in on their discussion, to hear what they would talk to each other about, what they would want to know from each other, what they would want to hear from each other in terms of plans that were underway or where they thought their particular industry were going. And tonight we are really very fortunate to have a jam-packed audience as well as a panel here to join us tonight. What we're going to allow them to do is to kind of talk in and amongst themselves. They'll have a semi-facilitated discussion, courtesy of Matthew Knowles, and then we're going to also then open it up to the rest of us to kind of ask questions that you may have come here thinking, or that may have come to you as you listen to some of their discussions. Tonight would not have been possible without our chair of the event, and that's Courtenay Siegfried, who is a volunteer member of our programming committee. She's had the ominous task of kind of wrangling them all together.
Sorry.
Because you know how tough that is, don't you? So please join me in welcoming Courtenay Siegfried.
Thank you, Barry. Woo. Thanks to all of you for braving the threat of rain. I think we scared some people away. It was a little ominous until the last minute, so thanks for coming out to hear about Houston's local music scene. I know a lot of you are musicians as well, so we're going to get into some nitty-gritty about how to help build your career. And I want to thank Discovery Green for allowing this forum and creating this opportunity to discuss the things that matter to us as Houstonians. I'll let you know that in 2 weeks, we will be having another panel called Innovative Houston. So it's going to be people from the startup community, the TMC, architecture, urban planning. So a little bit of a shift from music, but I think it will be really cool. And then October, we will have the Taste of Houston. So it will be all about the food. We have some really cool chefs coming. So Justin Yu, Robert Del Grande, and a bunch of other James Beard award-winning chefs. And now I want to introduce our moderator for the night. It's my friend Mark Austin. So many of you know Mark very well. You may know that last week the Houston Chronicle named him as one of Houston's most interesting men, and he's probably hating me right now for saying that. So Mark is the owner of the Convoy Group, which is a promotions and management company here in Houston. He manages 8 Texas-based bands, many of them you already know, including the Suffers and the Tauntauns. He also books more than 100 shows in Houston every single month, and does that at places like Market Bar, Nightingale Room, House of Blues Foundation Room, tons of other venues all over the city. So he knows the pulse of this music scene, so he'll be a good driver for this conversation today. With that, first I have to say, you guys take lots of pictures, talk about this online, share what you're learning with others. You can use #Discovery Discussions and #Discovery Green. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mark.
Thanks, Courtney. I want to start by saying thanks to Courtney and Discovery Green, as well as Southwest Airlines, for making this kind of stuff happen, because it needs to happen in Houston. It needs to happen more often. I also want to admit that I tricked the panelists into being here today. This is just for me to ask them questions so I can learn all their tricks and take over Houston. Jokingly. I want to take a second to introduce the panelists. Most of them you know, but I just want to share a little bit about them before we start talking. Matthew Knowles to my left here is the founder and president and CEO of Music World Entertainment, which offices in Houston and New York City. It's one of the world's leading music and entertainment conglomerates with record sales exceeding 300 million sold. Take that.
I love my Southwest Airlines peanuts.
And he likes peanuts. They paid him to say that.
It's all about the peanuts.
Our next panelist is Osley Omar. She's the lead singer of a Houston-based band, the Tauntauns. She has extensive tour experience, including playing festivals like South by Southwest, Hangout Fest, and Lollapalooza. And when she's not doing all that craziness, she's also a member of the Chicago-based band Wild Bell.
I'm almost clapping for myself. Hold on.
Speaking to the microphone, Osley, I'm joking. You know what that is.
I always have a problem with that.
Mario Rodriguez is an American producer, entrepreneur, audio engineer, singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, born and raised right here in Houston. Mario performs with award-winning bands such as Tax the Wolf and Bang Bangs. In 2014, he founded Wonky Power Records, a music record label, management team, and recording studio located in the East End. He's also a music curator for Axelrad, Aloft Houston, Eighth Wonder, Pop Shop Houston, and has produced concerts throughout the city. Please give a warm welcome.
Fear the beard. Fear the beard.
He has a really snazzy jacket on today, too. I failed to mention that. Stacia Pratt is a 3-time Oscar-winning publicist with nearly 20 years' experience whose practice is primarily focused on music, film, and live entertainment. Her clients include Oscar, Grammy, and Award and Emmy nominees and winners. Touring support, PR campaigns, CD launches, branding, crisis communication, etc., all areas of expertise. And Stacia Pratt Communications is a full-service entertainment public relations firm focusing on music, film, actors, actresses, artists, and television. Please give a warm welcome for Stacia Pratt. All right, where are we going to start this conversation? I'm not prepared. I'm kidding. I want to start by saying we were backstage just a minute ago, and someone was mentioning to me that you have 2 daughters that are singers. I just think that's so neat that you have children that are. I didn't know that. I don't know if anybody else did. Anybody else know that he has 2 daughters that are singers?
Raise your hand if you did know it. I think everybody knows.
Yeah, we should share a mic. I'm joking, Mr. Knowles. We're really excited to have you here. I'm excited to have you here. We'd written some questions, and just so everybody knows, kind of the theme of the night was to discuss past, present, and future of the Houston music scene, or music from Houston. And so the plan was to have a wide spectrum of people that kind of cover that. And Matthew, I want to start the conversation by saying, obviously 300 million records sold. That's an impressive feat. Can you tell us how you did that, or how we can do that too? I think everybody here wants to.
It's a combination. But first, I just want to ask the audience, how many artists do we have? Just raise your hand if you're an artist. And so how many songwriters do we have? How many producers do we have? How about those that are wanting to be managers or are artists? How about publicists? Any choreographers or dancers?
Officially or unofficially?
I want to be. How about videographers? Entertainment attorneys? I always ask that question. I like to start out that way. Because shame on you if you are an artist and you were sitting next to a songwriter, and on the other side of you was a producer, and then behind you was a videographer. Shame on you, because the answer is always in the room. It's not going to be coming up after this and asking questions. It's going to be about you networking with the person sitting next to you. And so you ask, how does it start? It starts simply just like that. And for music world, 24 years ago, I started in my bedroom in our home with a dream and with passion. And I always say it takes the same amount of energy for a small idea as it does for a big idea. And often we just think small. I never thought small. That's why I named the company Music World. We sell more records outside of America. A huge opportunity for new artists outside of America. So I'll kind of start it right there and let you take it from there.
Sure. So like you were saying, 24 years ago, Music World started right here in Houston.
Right here in Houston, Texas, in my bedroom.
Can you share some with us about where that was where Houston was specifically 24 years ago versus what you see today? You live very close to where we're standing right now, and you still work and operate in Houston. What's changed? What has happened in the last 24 years in terms of?
Yeah. Well, the whole industry has changed. First of all, we don't sell these things called cassettes. We have this stuff called social media. We have this new thing called streaming. In the future, you won't hear music, you'll see music. And if you don't understand that, we'll stop just hearing it. Every time we hear it, we'll see it on some device. And so video is critical in understanding where the video will take us. And you know, Beyonce has done an extremely great job of explaining what video means. People want to have a different experience. 24 years ago, Rap-A-Lot was probably the largest record label, rap label. Now they're more catalog. They were the record label. Tejano music was bigger than it is today. Country was bigger than it is today. Rock is bigger back then. So everything I see is declining. And we really didn't have an R&B and pop presence. Music World kind of brought the R&B and pop presence. So we were just beginning to start out, I think, in the pop and R&B world, but hip-hop has always been very strong, rap and hip-hop in Houston.
Do you see that as a de-evolution of what's happened in Houston? Do you expect it to come back around? Is this a cycle, or is it just a lack of interest or a lack of support? Like, what is it that would cause?
Again, it's not a Houston question; it's an industry question. We're into the independent, the year and age of independent artists, independent labels. Each and every one of you can do marketing called social media. Each and every one of you can do marketing called YouTube. It's an opportunity today. It's really not about selling records. As a record label, I make a lot of money on catalog and streaming. Artists don't make money on streaming. We have different agendas, artists versus record labels today. I see that to continue, but you have to have what is your dream and what is your picture. The live performance is the future. Can you perform live? A lot of people can't perform live. They're not entertainers. They're singers. Big difference in a singer and an entertainer. Artist development, we don't do.
So Stacia, talking about starting
Kind of in my head.
so staying with the theme of where we were and kind of where we're headed, what can you share in line with what Matthew shared with us about where things were, say, 15 or 20 years ago and kind of where they are today, just so we understand the temperature of, you know, having done these positions and had these roles and lived in Houston, what can you impart on this audience about what's coming or where are we headed, perhaps, based on what you know for the last 15 or 20 years?
I grew up in Houston, so I remember Rockefellers and Fitzgeralds and wasn't old enough to go, and Pace concerts and Coca-Cola concerts, and listening to, you know, Dana Steele on the radio that Bon Jovi was coming, and you saw the billboards, and there was this big buildup, and you're sending your mom out to buy the tickets, and everybody with the cool kids wore the shirt the next Monday. That's how I grew up. I think music has gotten so fragmented that it's almost lost its heart. We've gotten to the point, and that's an industry issue. That's our problem that we're trying to solve, honestly, right now. You know, where do you fit? What's your genre? Well, it's just music, and we've killed ourselves in some ways with that. Here locally, Houston is extremely diverse. We have a very international community. You can listen to Afro punk, you can listen to Afro pop, you can listen to Tejano pop, you can listen to Tejano country, you can listen to rap country. God help me. You know, but there's so many different things that we've got here in this city that I don't think we actually support it well enough. And I read something not too long ago, and I 100% believe this. Raise your hand again if you're an artist. Before you leave here, you get every single one of those people's phone numbers and emails, and you go to each other's shows. Because if you're not going to each other's shows, your fans aren't going to go to your shows. Plain and simple. How Seattle created a music scene, they competed. They competed against each other, and they were killing it night after night after night. Boom, 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 up and up and up. The sunset music scene of the 80s with the big hair bands, love them or hate them, they were the same thing. Boom, 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 boom. Competing, competing, competing. That's what we got to do here. If you're serious about playing in Houston, you go to each other's shows and you let them see you sitting there. You buy their records, you buy their merch, and you wear it, and then they'll do the same to you. All of a sudden, you're going to have your little club. And you may hate them, you may love them, but it doesn't matter. You're going to be supporting each other. That's how we're going to change the city. It's got to be here. It cannot be, oh, I don't have the right management. Oh, I don't have the right record label. Oh, I don't have the right publicist. It's starting right here with you guys. I can't do anything unless you're out there doing what you need to do every single night, supporting each other, period.
Here. So I'm going to turn the question to the local artist. Are you guys out supporting other bands? What are you doing, and what are the things you see that are effective to foster this relationship with other musicians while doing your own business? Maybe share a little bit about what the local scene's like on that level. I mean, we have these worldwide experienced folks, and then we've got you and I on the grass level here. Like, what is it we're doing based on what she said? From a local perspective to grow? Like, what do you see is the next thing to do?
Well, honestly, I think a lot of the musicians that are sitting here, they support each other already.
That's why they're here, right? That's why they're here.
So that's a good thing, yeah. So, and that in itself, it's great. As a music scene in itself, I think a scene, calling it a Houston music scene is probably not a good thing. I think we are trying to develop a Houston music culture in itself. It needs to be something that needs to be admired and an icon. And I think there are so many now new artists coming around that people need to listen to and people actually need to pay attention to because they could be the next breakthrough stars. And we don't know, not a lot of people know that. But a scene in itself, the word, it's more of a novelty type of cool, hip thing to do. And I don't think these guys want to be part of a Houston music scene. They want to be part of a music culture. Something that's going to continue to develop in the right ways. So the musicians here, I think, are doing super well. Everybody that I see here is aspiring to do way better for themselves and wants to do it full time, such as, I see Cam over there. She's doing it full time. That's amazing, And I know that, people want to talk to her and want to get her advice and stuff. Elizabeth, full time as well. Ozzy, same to you. I mean, there's a lot of us. So, yeah, Zach, yeah, dude. So, I mean, there's a lot of things. What do you think, Ozzy?
Well, I like the term music culture. I definitely think that we should keep that. I think scene is kind of an exclusive mentality, It doesn't incorporate everyone. I think that there's been a lot of really great positive changes with the culture, especially since I first started 10 years ago. Oh.
Yes.
I know. It's still not fun to say. I think we are more supportive of each other. The biggest thing that I think that isn't stayed the same, that is the poison in Houston in general, not just with our music, but in all parts of entertainment, is that we come from a city that it's very normal to talk bad about yourself, to talk bad about those around you, to talk bad about what's happening here. Any other city that you go to, even if it's not the best place in the world, they're going to be the first people to be like, this is why you should be here. This is why we're making this happen. I think it's important not just for musicians to support each other, but to support themselves and to support this city. It's a shame that we live in a city where the lifespan of a band is 2 years, 3 years. That's nothing. That's no time at all, Until you're putting in a ton of work. I'm looking at Deborah over there from Two Star Symphony, one of the best bands in Houston. And they've been going for years, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I think that until we as a culture collectively decide that we're going to put in the time and the work necessary, it's not going to change.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, yeah. That's nice.
I also think it's important for us to know, if you look at any great artist, they have a great team. it's not just about your artistry. This is the music business. And if you don't understand the business aspect of this, I think that's one of the challenges in the culture of Houston, is that we don't teach the business aspect of it as much as a New York or a LA. They also give you the awareness of what you have to do. You've got to have a really good manager. You've got to have a really good promoter. And you've got to really work hard for this. I say is nobody out there should do anything that's not their passion. People that are successful live their passion, because when you live your passion, you never work a day in your life. And if this is truly your passion, you're going to put the 6 to 8 hours of work. Yes, it's great to go and support the other artists, and yes, you should go and do that. But to me, the biggest reason why you should go to look at other artists sitting in this room performance is to learn. Is to learn how to become better. If you don't know the statistics, we do 35,000 albums per year at major record labels. Only 1% make a profit. 350 out of 35,000 make a profit. 1%. Just like only 1% of high school basketball players go professional, or football players. We're in a 1% business, and you've got to put in the work. It sometimes just simply boils down to, I don't want to put in the work. I don't want to work on my imaging. Imaging is critical. I don't want to do that work. I just want to do it the easy way. And I look in your eyes and I see people that are passionate. Each and every one of you can accomplish this. If you don't think you can accomplish it, it will never happen. I don't care if I was in Gaston, Alabama, Houston. We're going to be great at it, because that's my attitude. And everybody around me are going to think that way, because that's my attitude. And if you don't think like a winner, I don't want you to be around me. It's also that team.
I want to start. Do you want to?
Well, yeah, what I was going to say is, he's talking about building the team, and I get this a lot. I get this a whole lot. There's not going to be one person that's going to work harder than you. And you need to outwork all of us on here. And when I was up till 2:15 this morning working on an interview in Raleigh, North Carolina for a radio interview, a live to tape for a major band that's on tour, I was up till 2:45. I had to still get up at 6:45 and still start my day. You got to work harder than me. You have to work harder than Matthew. You have to work harder than both of these people. You have to work that hard. You can't rely on one person to be the one that's going to make the difference. But the other thing that LA and New York has that we don't have here is the beaten down the doors mentality. How many of y'all dream about going to New York or LA? I lurked in New York, trust me, I did it. That was a blast, scared the living crap out of me doing it. But I set foot in that city and there was not one person. I remember the day I set foot in that city at 28 years old, I set foot in that city, I said, there is not one person in this city that can beat me. Not one. And I put my elbows out and I was a kid from Champions. I didn't know anything. But I knew that I knew how to do what I knew how to do. And if you guys have a dream of going to New York or going to LA, you better get ready and you better work hard and you better beat down those doors. You've got 4 or 5 people right here you could beat down our doors. Doesn't mean we're going to work for free. Doesn't mean we're going to give you our contacts. I got one today. Can you give me your contact at Oakley? No. But I have a video coming out. Okay, go buy a pair of Oakleys if you want them in your video. They're not going to give it to you. There's got to be a level of expectation and amount of work. If I see, and there's someone here I know very well, that I see working very, 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 very hard, and I talk to him till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and he is working his tail off, trying to do whatever it means to get to the next level. I will put the time in to work with that kid. Do we have any paperwork? Nope. Because he's got a fire in his gut and a fire in his eye. That is what he's talking about. When you're putting a team together, look in the eyes and see if they get it. I don't always get it with bands, and I've missed the mark sometimes. And I've been like, man, I missed it. That was such a cool thing. You know, I congratulate them when they're at the Grammys or whatever. But man, they did it. When you have a team, you have to have the same people. And you're not going to go and just go to Matthew Knoll and say, here, I want to be famous, make me famous. You need to be so good, he's beating down your door and you're beating down his door and you run into each other and then you've got something going. Does that make sense? Okay.
I have a question. At a lot of discussions and things like that, people always talk about building a team.
What does
And-
that mean?
No, not what it means. I guess my question is, in the current music climate, it's so busy, it's so noisy, it's hard to stand out. If you're an artist that can't put your music in
No,
the
it's
right
not. Let me
place-
tell you why. I got a Twitter message 3 days ago from a random band in Nashville, Tennessee. They saw that I am talking to another random band in Nashville, Tennessee that's opening for Bush right now. I love this. It's a all-girl metal punk band. They're fabulous. They sent me a text message, and they said on Twitter, and they said, saw you like so-and-so, would love to talk to you next time you're ever in Nashville. That's where I'm going on Saturday. I'm going to Nashville. We've emailed back and forth,
that
and I'm
really
having
works.
breakfast with them on Monday through Twitter.
Well, I'm just like, I feel like a lot of people are trying to get their name out there and they're going through the traditional channels and now they've kind of got exhausted. And so this team that they're trying to surround themselves with, it's very DIY, it's their friends. And I guess I was going to ask, with the music climate the way it is, do people still take chances on random bands? You know, how do you go about finding that manager that's going to put you in the right place? How do you go about finding that publicist that's going to take you to the next level?
I've been trying to fit this question in, and this is the perfect time. I get, and I know Mario does too, we get inundated because what we do, we're two of very few people that are doing it on this level in the fourth largest city in America. And if you believe that this is all the musicians that live and work in Houston, you're crazy.
Oh, no, I've seen them. There are tons.
Tons. I
Yes.
mean, mind-blowing. I book 100 bands a month, and I still find dozens of bands a week. I'm like, where did you come from? But with that said, it's taxing, right, to get all those Facebook messages, Twitter @replies, text messaging, emails, and I steer everyone to emails. I'm like, please just send an email so I can just keep up with one mode of transportation. But everybody's like, I want you, and they don't even ask. A lot of people don't ask, like, you're going to be our manager, or you're going to book our shows, or whatever. And I'm always like, dude, that's not the right approach. But the question, that's the first one. I delete those emails. But no, kid, I don't ever delete an email. But
I do.
I worked at Enron, dude. I can't shred, delete nothing. Like I'm screwed for life. But my question to you guys, and I think everyone can answer this, is when are these musicians that the ones that are working? There are a bunch in this crowd, by the way. This crowd is the crowd that is working 80 hours a week on their craft beyond being a musician. They're running their own business, and they're not seeing a lot of success other than playing locally and trying to build their team, and it gets very frustrating. And when they get frustrated, mine and Mario's phone calls double. You know, there's no one else to call, and that's why I'm personally excited the two of you are here, because I want to
Great.
talk to you too. Like, I got things I need to ask. But my question to you is, when are you ready for those things as a publicist? I mean, there are a couple of music publicists that live and work in Houston. Again, 4 million people and a bunch of musicians calling those two, and they get inundated just like we do. But when are you ready for those things? What are some indicators? If you're a local musician, you put out a record, you got a video, you're doing some things, you've called Chris Gray, you've called Joey Guerra, you've sent your stuff to Free Press, like you're doing all the stuff that you need to do on that level, but you're still not seeing that success, and you're like, damn it, do I need to save my money and get a publicist? How do I get a manager? What do I do? When am I ready for it? That's what I tell bands. I'm like, just because you see that bands have managers or agents or publicists or stuff, that doesn't mean you have to go get those things today. That's not
There's
the
a lot
trick.
of people signed with CAA that are miserable.
Totally. She was with UTA, and they treated them like they had a record coming out, and we couldn't get a phone call. You know, they couldn't get a phone call back to book a tour. You're like, dude, what the is going on? I'm just a number, right? And now all the bands that I work with are on boutique agencies because they pay attention. But that's not my question. My question is, what are some trips that you're like, okay, I've accomplished on this level, I need a publicist.
For me?
Accomplished on this, well, for a musician.
For a publicist,
When
like,
do they
what
need to start bugging you? When do they need to find a publicist or an agent or a... Because I found like they're musicians become dependent on those ideas that they have to have those things to be successful,
Right,
and I don't
no.
believe that.
No, for me, and this is typical. I get emails. I'm releasing a CD. Can you send a press release out? I'm opening for Bush. Can you send a press release out? The thing you got to have is you need to have all of those things happening at once. You got to think of your business as a spoke, and this is you, and all of these things are around. I talk with my hands. Sorry. So all these things are all the different businesses and different aspects of your business you need to have going. You need to have a good SEO going on your website. You need to have some social media going. You got to sit there and be playing live. You got to have content, meaning you got to have music that's not just one. You got to have a bunch of it coming out one by one by one, and think things through. When I see an artist that they're on a tour, they're playing out, they've got a record out, they got another one coming out, they're talking about going overseas, or they're looking to play wherever they can play, whether they get paid or not, that's when I get excited. Because if I have the contacts, Matthew does too, where I could call whomever at Sundance and put them on a side stage, or have them play a private party at a Billboard Music Awards. You're in the room at that point. You're not going to get paid $2,500 to go. You're going to have to go and put it on there, but you're going to be in the room with the very people who could hire you for their next show, put your music in a TV or film, or sign you to a record label. That's when I get excited.
It's almost a catch-22, though, because to be put in those positions, you have to have somebody working on your defense, or you have to have connections, or to be put in a position like that, you have to already be in a position like that, I
Not
guess.
necessarily. Not necessarily.
Well,
Let Matthew answer.
I think this is a true indication that people are caring about their craft. That's why you're here, right?
Yes.
Right? So that's a true indication. I mean, to answer the question, I think you go to every showcase you can.
Yep.
And there's plenty of showcases all around the city. I think you go to every seminar that you can, and you build these relationships. It goes back to what I started out tonight with. There's 3 or 4 people that said, I am a manager, or I aspire to be a manager. Maybe you didn't know this. For now 18 semesters at Texas Southern University, I created a degree program called ERM, Entertainment Recording Management. Maybe you didn't know, every semester I teach artist management. I don't know, I would probably try to get up to Texas Southern and get to know some of these kids that are becoming managers. I mean, I don't believe that you can be a part-time artist. I seldom use the word musician, I use artist. I don't think you can do it part-time. Either you're in it or out it. Either you go for it all or you don't do it. That's my philosophy. I see a whole lot of people with really nice looking shoes. You invested in your shoes today. But are you investing in your careers like that?
One other thing you're talking about with the when do you need it? It's when you have so much going on that there's enough backlog, for lack of a better word, of events, whether it's releasing a single, a show, CD release parties, house parties, private, when there's enough things going on that I can call Chris Gray over at the Houston Press and say, hey, take a look at this guy. They're doing this, this, and this. We need to watch them. He might actually show up and go. He's got a 20-month-old. He's not going to go to every show. But he might if I call him and say, take a look at these people. All of a sudden, you've got a mark. It's no different than if you played baseball or football or basketball and you'd go to showcases, and as a 14, 15-year-old, they're like, Michael Jordan, we're going to watch him. There's a mark. There wasn't an offer. There was no promise of anything. There was a mark, and they watch him. And that's what you know, and to Matthew's point, finding someone that's young.
Yeah, but Stacy, if you look at Michael Jordan, if you look, I love basketball, guys.
I did that on purpose.
Stefan, this kid shoots a three-pointer in practice. He gets early. And I'm going to keep saying this. The reason of failure is because a lot of people just aren't good. I mean, that's what I see. People just aren't good because they don't make this commitment. These people are good because they started very, very young. And that's your competition. When you're competing against Justin Timberlake and the Beyoncés and the Jay-Z's who started at 8 years old and they practiced. They didn't go to college. They didn't even go to high school. They were practicing.
They didn't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
And homeschool, I believe in, but we don't have younger people here. But you gotta go for this, guys. I see it in your eyes. You want to do it. You just gotta go for it. And if you don't do it, you can look back one day and say, you know what? I gave it everything that I had. Wouldn't you rather look back when you're old like me and say, I gave it everything I had? It just didn't work, but I gave it everything I had. I'm challenging you tonight to give it everything that you've got.
I love that. Like, give it everything you have, everything you got. But even when, let's say, all the musicians that are sitting here are giving everything they have, there's not enough representation here in Houston, not enough agencies, not enough management
Not
groups,
enough opportunities for shows.
not a lot of opportunities. The opportunities that are given are already taken up all the way to the full extent. I mean, there needs to
So
be...
it's still a big, how many covers do you play?
Excuse me?
It's all about the cover bands and all about the cover songs and...
No, not necessarily. I mean, there's so many artists, extremely
No, I meant
amount
booking.
of
I
number.
meant booking. Is that like there's not enough venues and enough
Yeah.
places to play? It's all because, well, we're going to play a tribute band to whatever
And a lot
tonight.
of,
Yeah, I guess.
like, how many of you guys as artists have trouble even finding places to play shows in Houston? Okay, we got 3.
We got a couple.
And the places where you play, are they doing promotion? Do you feel like you're actually playing a good show? No offense, Mark, I already know, but not everybody has a Mark Austin in their life, okay? There's a bunch of people out here that are playing at, like, their friend's garage, because a lot of the venues in Houston just aren't stepping up. And so I think collectively as artists, we need to stop thinking about, okay, well, what can I do for myself as an artist? And we need to start pushing this city to create spaces like Wonky Power, provide shows so that everybody, when you're playing a show, you're not playing to 4 people because the venue didn't do promotion, because you don't got a band that you can play with, because it's Tuesday night and you're out in Sugarland. Like, we collectively need to make the decision to create a space for us to make music.
And I really think...
Matthew, remember in the late 80s through the 90s,
Guys,
up
me
and
and
down
Stacey,
Richmond?
we
We're
do a
old.
lot of this. That's why we kind of
And
bounce each
we're going
other.
to take this on the road. But remember in the 80s and the 90s, up and down Richmond, on any Friday or Saturday night, there was tons of places that were going live, but it was all a bunch of cover bands. Then you had that new little area off where Ados used. Oh God, I'm dating myself. Where Ados and all that used to be over there. Then they had some other places you could get a jazz brunch, and I think it's something indicative that it's a culture issue with the city as much as I'm hearing the same thing I heard when I first got started in the music business is there's nowhere to play except a dive bar, 1 or 2 places, and not get paid anything but
Yeah, but
whatever.
Stacey, I don't know how many people know this because you have to research a lot. I own Compadre Records, black guy that owns a country label. Billy Joe Shaver, Trent Willman, Katie. I can't even name all my country artists. I own a gospel label. Built the #1 gospel label in the country in 2012, #1 gospel artist. I have a pop and R&B. I haven't seen any of you beat down 1505 Hadley 3 minutes from now. Yet, people from all over the world beat down my door to the point we have to call the police. I hadn't seen any people out there come at 1505 Hadley and beat down the door and say, hey, I want a record deal. Hey, can I help you?
Well, write down that address, everyone.
It's
Write
only
it down.
been there. It's only
I'm
been there
doing the same
since
thing right
it's
now.
only been there since 2002. Other than that, big old poster that with Destiny's Child. I don't see how you could miss it.
So we need more Matthews around here.
Yeah,
and
but
more
my
Marks,
point was
and
not
more
that.
Marios.
My point is I haven't seen anybody beat down my door.
They're not inviting you to their showcases?
I do a showcase. We started 2 weeks
There
ago
you
on
go.
Mondays. It ain't my job to tell you how to get to it. You Google stuff. You research stuff. I know
They
this
have
young
Google.
man
We didn't
right
have
here.
Google.
I know this young man right here spent $300 to come to a seminar, didn't you? And I called you on the spot and gave you an opportunity, didn't I? So my point is always going to be, you've got to want it, man. You've got to not be shy if you're going to do this stuff. You got to be assertive, aggressive, and at whatever it takes. You've got to be not afraid to hear a no.
Because you're asking Matthew to invest. You're asking him to invest in his contacts, his time, his resources, and his mind. You're asking me to invest my crazy brain and my contacts and my mind. And if we're not going to be making money off you guys for a while, but if there's something that's in it and you're beating down the door, there's something to that. There's something to that.
Mario's been. Do you want to jump in? I just want to say couple quick things. One, the reason that we're having these types of discussions is so that we can hear you say that those things exist in the city, because we don't know. And it takes a process of education when there's no infrastructure. I mean, the five of us sitting up here are the infrastructure, and we're trying to get to the point that the city recognizes that, and that this becomes the infrastructure, right? So we're trying to originate opportunities. We're trying to originate jobs. I find that every time there's a dollar given to an artist, I consider that another dollar that wouldn't normally have been given.
So again, since 2002, 3 minutes, I live right across there. Two of my neighbors, the president lives there. That's good when the president lives there. But I have had there since 2002 two state-of-the-art recording studios, a rehearsal facility, a venue that holds 500 people. I've had people that come and they ask, and I let them do it for free. But I'm not going to chase you. I'm not going to chase you.
Let me respond to that. 2002, she wasn't making music. He wasn't making music. Cam Franklin wasn't making music. This is a new generation of musicians. Cam might have been. Cam started at like 8 years. Cam might have started at like 8 years old. Sorry, Cam. Go to Music World, damn it. But a lot of the musicians in here are 5 to 10 years into their careers. And again, this is education. Thank you. Like, I'm writing this down. Mario and I'll be there tomorrow morning knocking on the door. I'm not joking when I say that we need these types of opportunities, but it comes with a level of education. And to answer the question, to help answer the question for these guys about when do you need these people, how do you need these people, it's you dress for the job you want, not the one you have. You get the job when you're already doing it, kind of thing. And so I want to encourage these guys that you can go book your own shows, you can book your own tours, you can do your publicity, you can manage yourself. And so that way you appreciate those roles. You appreciate the Stacias and the Marios of the world because you had to do it for yourself. And that adds to your point of you're being lazy. Like, work harder, right? If you think you need a manager, do you even know what a manager does? Do you
How
know
many of y'all email primarily to communicate? How many of y'all
Some
actually
people
pick up?
text.
How many of y'all actually pick up the phone and call? Okay, good. One of the things that's happening on my side of the business is the young PR people coming up. Well, I sent the email, nothing happened. Really? Did you pick up the phone to find out? Ask Discovery Green. We've been back and forth for 5 days because my contract was in a black hole somewhere because they'd emailed it to me and I'd emailed it back, and it's just floating out there in space. You got to pick up the phone and call people. And on the PR side, on the publicity side, if you've got a CD launch, let's just throw that out there. So most people are doing CDs. They got a CD launch. They're going to do a CD event. Pick up the phone and call Chris Gray at the Houston Press. That's his job. Pick
And
up
what's
the
our
phone.
friend that gives every year
Barry.
the
Pick
whole
up
Barry? What's the name of it?
Barry coughing.
But what's the name of the
Springboard South.
Springboard South. I mean,
We
right
Get
here at
Music
George R.
Network is
Brown,
another
a
one.
whole week festival. I guess he has 200, 300 artists that perform independently. There's all of this stuff going on in Houston. It's more than you guys think is going on. I think it's often as simple as Professor Google. That's what I tell my students. Just go to Professor Google and ask, like, you don't even have to spell it right. Like, what seminars are going on, you know?
So we wanted to also give the audience an opportunity to ask y'all questions directly. I want to start in last session, one of our Discovery discussions was entitled 2026. And it was with a group of politicians as well as developers who were here to project out over the next 10 years. My question to each of you is, if we reconvene in 10 years and we are honoring each of you for special achievement in your industry, what would have happened between now and then that you would be focused on that you would have received this honor for?
I don't know.
So in 10 years, you said?
From today up until 2026, what
Wow.
will you be working on, and what will you?
Well, we're going to open up a new agency starting tomorrow. So that's a big feat. There needs to be more agencies going on in the city, a lot more. We don't have enough representation for these artists. There needs to be more. And I would say that we bridge a connection with Mexico, South America, Europe, all over the world, with Houston being an iconic city where all of the talent is coming from. We need to be the next capital, not of Texas, but of the U.S. with music and entertainment. I see in 10 years being a part of that group. Hopefully I get to be in the part of the group goes with Mark, and we work together in the next 10 years, and we make a crazy thing happen, and maybe Matthew can join us too, because he knows a lot. All of us work together. But yeah, in 10 years, I hope that we take over the city and make it take over the world with its entertainment, because there's so many great artists, so many musicians, producers, everybody, singers, songwriters, and this is just a small percentage. This is probably a 1%, not even, of everybody here. So that's just what I think.
For me, is quickly three things. One, 10 years from now, I hope someone that's sitting out here right now truly have greatness, which is different than success. And I hope it started with tonight and something you heard that inspired you to want to be the very best at it. So that's number one. Number two, I have a girls group called Blush Music. Never been done before, because the industry likes new stuff. We don't like you to doing the same old stuff. So it's 2 female rappers and a vocalist. I hope I have the opportunity, and I'm grateful to sit here and have had the #1 female trio in the history of music in gospel, the #1 female trio in the history of music in pop and R&B, and I'd like to do it again in rap. And then thirdly, and probably the most important to me, is to continue to educate and to motivate. That I want to be noted for, that I really motivated and educated people in this industry.
10 years from now, I don't know where I will be. Hopefully, hopefully a better version of here. I hope that 10 years from now, I hope that a lot of the change that we've been seeing happening in the city recently, especially within the last year or two, continues. I hope that, there's more opportunities for all of us, and I hope that we're looking at a city that doesn't think of itself as last, but as first. And I'd like to be a part of that.
I honestly hope that in the next 10 years, I hope this isn't being filmed, that Houston puts his big girl panties on and starts acting like a big city. We're the 4th largest city. We have 2 major airports. We have direct flights all over the world. We have no taxes here. People are flooding here doing very big things, but they're doing it very quietly. Matthew and I have run around each other for 10, 15 years and have never met until we ran into something here in Houston. And we've been at a lot of the same events. There's a lot of stuff that's happening here. I think Houston, we're doing the Super Bowl, we're doing all these things. We need to do more. We need to be bringing the Billboard Music Awards here. We need to bring the AMAs here. We need to be bringing the CMAs here. We need to be bringing all those kinds of things here. But until we actually have the infrastructure and the city gets behind us, it actually gives us decent tax credits and gives us an actual place to start creating a really good feel to the city. We have no identity. Are we the Bayou City? Are we the Space City? Are we, just old Texas? Are we cowboys? What are we? We have an identity problem. I hope that for me, I can help do that, market the city as a whole. But the whole goal for me would be Matthew and I were talking, we have some of the most beautiful theaters in the world downtown. They're stunning, and the acoustics are fantastic. They're not even being used. We have this George R. Brown Convention Center that's, partly used sometimes. We're very fragmented, and it's time for us to actually put on our big girl panties and act like the 4th largest city on the planet. When I tell people that we're the 4th largest city, people look at me like, well, what about St. Louis? Well, Dallas is bigger than y'all. San Antonio is bigger than Dallas. So that's what I hope to have happen, is inspire you guys to get truly a fire under your butts, to start doing some really big things, dream big. Did I think when I started at 25 years old I was going to be going to the Oscars? That would have been fun, but I was thinking about what's BMI, ASCAP, and A&R mean? I didn't even know. You know, and you got to dream big. You have to dream big. Once I got my very first press hit, it was the very first press release I ever wrote. I got on the front page of the Chronicle. My client did. I was 23 years old, knew nothing. And I thought, well, that was easy. I did it again. I did it again. I did it again. I realized I had something, and I got a fire lit under my butt. I wanted 2 front pages. I wanted to be on the front page of, not me, but my client, on the front page of the Dallas Morning News and Houston Chronicle. That's the kind of fire you have to have, and that's what I'm hoping to bring here is the branding and the attitude of 100% success for this city, because it's time.
Who else has a question?
I didn't get a damn applause. What's going on here? What the
I'm
hell
cuter.
is going on here?
I'm cuter.
See, you gotta ask for it.
I didn't ask for
That's my
it.
point. Gotta ask for it.
I didn't ask
sometimes.
for it.
All right. Hi, guys. So I've been interning and doing apprenticeships in Austin and with that music scene, and I've been trying to get involved in the Houston scene. And over there, it's a lot easier because you can just go to a bar and find somebody that from South by or C3. And here, I was kind of wondering, is there like a place, a network or associations where we can kind of get in contact with everybody? Because I've done Professor Google, and and I think like 2 or 3 things keep popping up.
It's called We Get. We Get Networking. It's a big Houston scene.
Okay.
And look, they have a Facebook page, and they do all sorts of stuff. Start there, because Barry Coughing, who he had mentioned, is the one that behind that. That's a good place to start.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
Well, I'll add to this real
Yeah.
quick. I want to add to this. We do have an issue of deficiency of infrastructure in the city to support musicians. That's a thing. And we're working diligently on it. And I can tell you firsthand experience that the governor's Texas Music Commissioner has a vested interest in developing the infrastructure in the Houston music scene. So does the mayor's office, and so does our tourism commission, and they've all been reaching out to make this exist. It does not. Professor Google is not the way to get that answer. The one thing I would encourage you to do today, and hopefully this will be different in 365 days, but that's to go out to local shows that are local bands, get to know them after the set, find ones you like or associate yourselves with. I mean, I became the manager of a band in Houston because I went to take pictures of them, and I thought I just went to take their picture. And I was like, dude, you guys are amazing. And they're like, we need help. I'm like, what kind of help? And that's just how this started. So you almost have to create it for yourself here right now, unfortunately, but that's changing. And it's changing because of the people on this panel, and we're trying really hard to make that a thing.
Yeah, you also have, you can go to freepresshouston.com, houstonpress.com. Free Press Houston, David Garrick is one of the major roles in the Houston music culture.
Yeah.
He's right there. He's a principal editor, and he writes about every single thing going on in the 1 week. Not everything, but to the most that he can actually get. But he's one, I mean, and the Houston Press has a lot of editors as well that write about everything. So you can go to Houston Press, freepresshouston.com. And hopefully there's more publications that actually highlight the music culture in the city. Because right now, David Garrick is like #1 guy that knows everything. But there's a lot of other ones, obviously. But you know the punk, all the way to the hip-hop, all the way to the rock, to the psych, everything, that guy.
Also find the venues you like. And, I mean, follow them and get on their list. I mean, venues love to have lists because that means they can sell more beer.
Yeah, but he's new. He doesn't know the venues.
Handcuff yourself
Yes.
to David Garrick. That's all you
Guess.
need to do.
It's all guess.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. Thank y'all for hosting this. My name is Sean Goody, by the way. Quick plug. Natsuo
do it.
Thursday. We have an open mic going on. If you're an artist, you're gonna love it. We compete. We challenge each other, and we're building the culture, like you were saying. What's up? You already know what the deal is. Cool. My question, though, if you have an artist, I'm a manager, and they're working a job or they're just scrapping dollars here and there, they're making $100 extra a week, where should that money be going? For growth, for biggest visibility, things
Good
of
press
that nature?
photos.
Photos?
Good press photo, at least one.
Nah, man, go record, okay? I meet so many artists that are talking about winning Grammys, and they don't even have anything on the internet. They don't have any music recorded. Like, baby steps, you know? There's one thing that Houston does have is a lot of really awesome recording studios. There's a lot of DIY pop-up recording studios. People are trying to record you for pennies in this city right now.
Yes.
Go find a place. If it's somebody's bathroom, if it's their garage, go find it and put some music down. And then come talk to somebody about booking shows and how you're going to be the next big thing. First thing first.
Yeah, and also, I mean, $100, you can get yourself a small recording device now. I mean, come on, and record it at home if you need to. You know, you don't have to go to the studio.
So I think the key thing you said is you're a manager, right? And some people are looking for managers. See, me, it goes back to what I said. If I had $100, I would try to get 5 vocal lessons for my artists. Because if you're not good, it don't matter if you do all this other stuff. So I would go get vocal lessons if they were a singer. I'm assuming, I'm just making an assumption. Even rappers need vocal lessons on breathing.
On breathing. Breathing's a big issue that they don't pay attention to. And I was going to say, you were talking about vocal lessons. That was my number 2. Mine would be, and you were talking about the imaging. You know, what do you look like when you perform? Have a recording device of some sort to make sure to see what you even look like. I mean, we all pretended we were. I pretended I was Madonna, but you know, we all pretended we were Prince or somebody. You know, in our bedrooms. Practice, see what that looks like, you know, and work on that. And so you'll know what you need to spend your $100 on. You'll know if your vocalization is bad. You'll know if your breath is bad. You'll know if the look doesn't look good. You'll know if you need to, you know, lose 20 pounds. You're going to know it all in that that 1 5-minute selfie of you performing. You're going to know exactly where to spend your $20 or $100.
Check. Hey, thank y'all for being here, first of all. I'm not supposed to be answering. Can I say, I have something to add to that, all of that, because all y'all had different answers. I think it's gonna take you seeing what you want to do next to see where you want to put that money, because it's gonna depend and it's gonna vary for everybody. Although all of that is great advice, but what's the next step? What's the next goal for you and your organization to see where you want to put that $100? I have a question about, I guess, a statement kind of question to see what you think about this, because you're talking about competition.
You're looking at me.
Because you were talking about competition.
Bring it.
And he actually brought up competition too, which I love. I love competition. I will talk trash to my peers, my rappers, because I want them to rap better than me. Really, that's what it is. As a whole, though, I think we, artist side, have an issue with the word competition and look at it in the wrong way. I think a lot of people look into themselves, they think competition, and then they think about, okay, I want to outdo this person, and they don't go to the shows. They just want to outdo this person and not prop them up because they're scared that's going to drown their image out. And I think that's a huge issue. And the bigger issue with it, and it's something I've been talking about to a lot of people, is being honest about this stuff. You know, if you're honest with yourself about these things, you can really go out and have that, productive type of competition and really grow this thing. And I don't see enough of that happen. I need to see a lot more honesty, but this ain't about me. Anyways,
Very
what do you
simply,
think about
The Bible
that?
also has a great, if you read it or not, but there's a proverb in there talking about iron sharpening iron. That is so what you need, is iron sharpening iron. It's not about, you still need to be the best you can possibly be, but every time you go to a show, you're going to learn something that you can learn from somebody else. Maybe it's what not to do. Maybe it's, ooh, they hold their mic that way. That's a really cool thing. Or the sound was a little wonky and it worked or it didn't work. You're going to learn something. That's that iron sharpening iron thing, that competition is, by doing that, you're raising your game. But I'm a competitor. I don't like to lose at all on anything. And I get really kind of, when I work on projects, I get very invested in it to where it's like, I want to outdo myself. And when I get a client in Rolling Stone or in the Houston Press or whatever it is, I beat out all those other people that called those same people and got my client in there. I beat them. They had 10,000 of me calling an I won score. That's competition.
Yo, hello.
I was going to say, just add to that, I think that a big problem with Houston is that we mistake competition for, I don't know if thirst's the right word. I think sometimes a lot of the musicians in the city need to take a step back and realize that someone else's success is only going to shine on you as well. It is not like, don't hate on somebody just because they're getting something you're not at that time. True competition, it makes everybody better, but I don't think that we do that enough in the city. I think we're just walking around, for lack of a better word, just on other people for what they're getting. And I think we need to understand the difference between how to look at somebody and say, okay, I see you, I'm gonna do this. And look at somebody and be like, oh, well, they got this, and I don't understand why there's only 3 bands in Houston. No. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, okay. So, I mean, also, before I ask my question, in regards to the, like, if you're not good at something, just don't do it, I think that's completely wrong. Like, it's like Jay-Z, like, when Jay-Z told Kanye West, you're not going to rap. And he made an album, I don't know if it was an album or a track, like, after his accident, and, like, he's still, like, that was,
Talking
like,
about my son-in-law?
his top track. Yeah.
Boy, you talking about my son-in-law?
Yeah, he's awesome. If he's a son-in-law, he's cool as hell. Anyway, yeah, I mean, but that's true. That's a thing. And for some, I just wanted to say that. I mean, like, you may suck at something, but it's whatever. I don't know. It's your life.
Well, healthy competition is good.
Yeah, it's cool. Right. As my
me.
question to shoot at you guys is, after you've emailed like 30 people and called 20, it is not even like I'm an artist, but like I'm not even to perform at something. Like maybe you have like a side thing that you do. Maybe you do flyering or like promotion work. And like, of course, someone could tell me don't do that. Like, why? That's ridiculous. I'm gonna do it anyway, right? Like, that's the hunger behind what you want, right? Like you said, if you have a flame under your belly, use it. And I understand that, but on the other side of the argument, there's also a counter argument saying, well, you can't there's like this popular. I feel maybe it's in my head like that you can't like overdo something.
And your question is.
Well, I thought it was a discussion, so I was getting there. But, it takes some time to do that. But, right, my question is, after you've done all of those things and talked to people and even messaged them online, like almost intrusively, I feel like, but it's not. I mean, like, it's cool. I see you all the time. I'll say, hey, how's it going? I mean, like, and like social media, like you said, we'll walk like across each other, like you won't say anything, but like what's the next, what for you guys, right? Like you guys are speaking to us, so what's the next step for you guys?
You mean when someone just ignores you or tells you no?
Yeah. Like what do you do about that?
I get hung up on most days. Seriously. I literally got told by a woman in Oklahoma City back in June to take me off her list. And she was very rude and very curt about it. You know what I did? I called her. And I said, hi, it's Stacia. You just emailed me. And she goes, oh, hi. And I said, okay, I have no problem taking you off the list. That's fine. I said, but please understand what this means. I said, that means that when so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so comes in town, you're not going to know about it. Okay? It also means that you falsely put your name on my media database I pay $10,000 a year for. That is a real-time database of every writer in America that covers anything, including how to, toe tap. Okay? You got to pick up the dang phone and call. And who cares if they say no? So what?
But also, what are you actually asking whenever you contact these people? Like, what do you want from them? Like, that should be an important question.
Can't.
Well, I know we can't even speak, but I mean, okay, so like if you get no responses back from people, it's probably you're doing something wrong. I mean, honestly, there's probably something wrong there. And if
let me add this. You don't need someone to do all this stuff. I mean, do you have records out and you're wanting to tour the world, need a publicist? Let me say this. When it comes to needing a manager, an agent, a publicist, a photographer, a videographer, or whatever, if you're in this crowd and you're a musician and you haven't already done those things for yourself, you need to do that first. You've done that. You've toured, you've booked your own tours around America.
There you go.
No,
That's what you got to do.
I'm saying you have to, though. I booked 250 shows for a band in Houston, and I was a 32-year-old accountant. Like, no one, I got hung up on, I would call, dear Raleigh, North Carolina, you don't know me, you don't know this band. Will you give them $100 on a Tuesday night and a couple of cold beers? Oh, no? Okay, bye. And then call the next one. I mean, dude, there's online resources, and they mostly suck, and it takes a lot, hours upon hours. I was an accountant for 8 hours a day, and then I was a band booking agent for 8 hours at night. Every night. I did that. I mean, seriously, did that for years and years before we broke in.
We don't
and
look
then
like this on purpose.
after 250 shows, a national booking agent picked up on what we were doing. And like, hey, you guys need an agent? We're like, yeah, we do, man. Thank you so much. And I'm not trying to talk down to you. I'm saying, please go do those things. Because if you go look at UTA or CAA or Billions or Windish or any of those websites, and you're like, how do I contact you? Because I want you to be my booking agent. All of those sites say, until you've successfully booked and toured the East and West Coast of America, please do not write us because you don't appreciate what I do or what we do. And so I was like, all right, well, let's get to work then. We got to do that. And that's what we did. And same goes for being a manager or a publicist or any of those things. You got to go like Google.com and study it, start from the ground up, and trust in yourself that you understand that job. You think you can do it, but you could really use someone else. Because until you've done the management role or the publicist role, those things, you really don't appreciate what they do, and you don't know what you want in a manager because you don't know what you need. You just think, oh, that successful band has a manager, I need a manager. That's not the case. It's really not. Truthfully, I would encourage you to continue to try. Don't give up hope because you can succeed. You care. You're here. I mean, go home tonight and say, all right, what do I want to do? Do I want to tour the world? What's step one? I'm going to start calling these venues. I'm going to show them my music. I'm going to make a great email. I'm going to convince them that they need me to play their place.
You don't even have to do venues. I've seen people just hit up Facebook and be like, hey, I'm an artist. I want to come to California in 2 months. Who do I know that lives in California that would be willing to throw me a show in their backyard? There is always a way, okay? I have met people that have couch surfed their way through Europe and played shows, and they're just like, they're not shows at venues, they're shows in people's houses, they're shows in people's, their friends' restaurants, their dad's friends' restaurants. There's always a way. But just so you can put that on your resume and say, I've been here, I've played here, I tried.
That's very good what you said. Can we get a round of applause for these guys for doing this? Because this is awesome. It's the first step in building the infrastructure here in Houston. And a round of applause for all of y'all that came, because this is how we develop a dialogue. So, good job. So, I kind of wanted to talk about what Stacia said about the big girl panties. So, I don't know if that's PC or what, but yeah, I'm an artist in Houston. I play in a band called Birthday Club, and I recognize a lot of people here, Osley, everybody. But I've been working in the city for 5 years. I lived in Austin for about 3 and tried to further my music there. And in Austin, we have the Health Alliance for Austin Musicians. There's a lot of actual infrastructure that's subsidized by the city and also big corporations that work together with the artists. So what can we do, not only as artists here in Houston, but as you guys, the promoters, the publicists, to attract that kind of human capital into the city, because that's what I'm hoping to see grow in the next few years. And that's what keeps me in Houston, because I have close friends who just moved to LA, going to New York, and I'm not getting any younger. So what can we do to attract that kind of human capital to the city?
I think we have a lot of it here. I think what's happening in the last few years that I've actually gotten to know Matthew pretty well is there's been kind of a fire lit under us a little bit of there's some people doing some big things here. And in all honesty, he's got his thing that he's got doing. I'm opening an office in Nashville full time this weekend. So, I mean, I've got my own stuff going on too. And so in a sense, it's kind of a volunteer thing, but we need it. We need it desperately bad. In terms of bringing in the human capital, we're sitting here. We've got the world's largest corporation headquartered in Houston. It's called Exxon. They got tons of money. There's tons of grants. There's a lot of grant money out there, guys. You just got to go find it. And they will subsidize a lot. You just got to go do Professor Google. There's a lot of things we can do, but it's going to take a lot of elbow grease and work and not stopping. You were talking about you've been here for a while. How many of y'all have been on Deborah Duncan? How many of y'all call Deborah Duncan? Shame on you. She books everybody. She's fabulous. That's her job. How many of y'all have done anything with Fox 26? I know you have. How many of y'all have called Fox 26? One person. Ruben Dominguez calls me about 4 times a week. Oh my God, my segment just died. What do you got for me? Make friends with those. That's their job. Go find them and say, hi, let's go grab a cup of coffee, or hey, I'm going to introduce myself. Come. Ruben's, follow him on Twitter. He's a musician first. He fell into journalism because he realized he was better at that than musicians. That's your guy. It's Fox 26, CW 33, CW. How many of y'all called CW or or been on that? The regional manager for the CW network is in Dallas, and he told me they are dying for people to be on their show. They need people on their show down here. That's easy. Google it. You don't need me for that. Google it. Call them. It's not hard. Say, hi, I'm a local band. I want you to come stand out my show. Hey, can I come send you a CD? Hey, do you guys have an afternoon plaza that you actually do things in? Can we do we call them bumpers. Can we do 15 seconds of the weather? Google it. Call them because they're needing it. You're not going to get in to go to call, but you can call them on the phone.
What's the worst thing that could happen? They would
Exactly,
say
they say
no
no?
to you? I've said it earlier. This is no business, man. I mean,
I get no all the time.
That's almost sad that when Stacy asked that, less than 5% of the whole room, because that stuff is so simple. And the other thing, I just want to give a tip. And by the way, I'm enjoying my Southwest Airlines peanuts. I'm smart enough to know if I plug Southwest Airlines, I might can get an endorsement deal for one of my artists. That's how I think. You think I'm joking? I'm plugging Southwest Airlines for a reason. I'm not just doing it without thinking. When you see
St.
my
Arnold.
artist with Southwest Airlines, you'll be like, now I know what he was thinking. By the way, my artist Blush Music is opening right here on this stage for Monica on Saturday. Invite you out.
That's cool.
But guys, I just want to give you one plug that I think is important. When I look in the room, and almost 75% of you raise your hands that you are artists, you've got to look like an artist everywhere you go. This young lady looks like an artist. You've got to wear that artistry, that I look at you and say, that's an artist. You got to take the time to look at everywhere you go. This is a 24-hour job. You've got to have that kind of mentality. I mean, can you imagine Destiny's Child, #1 female group in the history of music, got dropped by Elektra Records? What if I had said, oh my goodness, they got dropped by Elektra Records? They got dropped. Can't stop. Okay, why did they get dropped? They weren't good enough. I was just honest. Their first record deal was Columbia Records. All the executives came down and they did an audition, and I stopped it in the middle of it, and I said, they're not focused. That's why we ended up getting a deal with Columbia Records, because we admitted that we needed to grow. And please, I applaud you for being here tonight, because you could have been somewhere else, right? You didn't have to be out here. You risked the rain, and so I applaud you for that. Can you applaud yourself for that?
I just want to say to that question, if you should be the change that you want to see, if you want more people to come here, create a better environment. The man to my left, Mario, I've been with him in the music scene since we were, 13, 14 years old. This man started his own venue, his own recording space, his own record label. He's starting an agency. He did this with nothing. He was just like you and me. He's making it so that people want to come here to play shows. Go out there, start your,
Exactly. If you're not already starting your own thing, then that's where you should start. Start your own management, start being everything that you can be and that what you want. And once you actually get bigger than that, then they will come. A manager will come. Agency will come, but try to be the best that you can be. Sponsors, though, big money, yeah, definitely. We need bigger money. If anybody here has a big bank account, let's talk afterwards, and then we could do good things.
The one thing, the motto that I share with a lot of people that when things started to tip and change for the Tauntauns, for instance, was when we stopped being reactive and we became proactive. So we stopped waiting for a venue. Like, when's our next show? I don't know. No one's called. Like, what? Yeah. Why are we waiting for a phone call? When are we going to record our next record? I don't know. When we get enough money, we'll just wait. Like, no, stop waiting. Like, let's go find it today. Yeah. And that honestly is when things changed. And to add to Stacey's point about Ruben and Deborah Duncan, and there's dozens of others, if you don't know those people, literally you can Google them, and there's email addresses to write them. But I started doing things a long time ago with their music where I would just Google most interesting people in Houston, or Tastemakers Houston, or Media Houston. I would write a list of those names, and I would fill out I would put a one-pager and a CD in an envelope, and I would deliver to those people's offices and just drop off a CD and a thing. They're like, what the hell is this? And it might be Ruben being like, I need a band to fill in today. Here's from that pile of CDs I've got. Oh, let's call those guys. And that's how this started to fall. We became proactive instead of reactive, and that changed literally everything. And that's the people that are on this stage are all very proactive people. They're not sitting waiting for the opportunity to come. They're going to get it. And that is a thing. And it really is as simple as thinking outside the box. If you're doing all the stuff that CD Baby tells you to do in their email, the 5 ways to sell a record or whatever, delete that shit and come up with your own way to do it, right? Because it is evolving. The reason this man sold 300 million records is not because he figured out the secret sauce, it's because he rewrote the recipe every year for the last 25 years.
There you go.
Right? That's how that happens.
Okay, I got to stop y'all because we're running out of time, so I just got 2 more questions I want to get in real quick.
Before we do that, I have a question of you. Can we, right here at Discovery Green, create something so these new artists can perform?
We would love to talk to you about that.
All right.
Absolutely.
Let's do that.
Good evening. My name is Jackie, originally from South Africa, as you can tell by my accent. Earlier on, it was mentioned that it would be great if we can have the VMA or the Emmys or the Oscars awards held here in Houston. My question as an independent filmmaker is, how can I get local Houstonian composers, songwriters, instrumentalists, or artists involved in a project that can be showcased on the Indie Film Festival? Is it through your organization or the Houston Film Commission?
Go
Because
to
I believe
Swamp.
that's a great platform for them
Swamp,
to showcase.
SWAMP, the Southwest Alternative Media Project. They are fabulous. My friend Michelle Mower is actively involved in that, and she is a force to be reckoned with. She was a stay-at-home mom, decided to go to film school, and now has the #1 Lifetime series on ever in Lifetime. She lives in Pearland. Call them. And another thing is, we're mentioning Barry Coughing again. Barry's got a company called MusicSupervisor.com. You can grab any, and if you guys are not loading your music up there, it's free, it's not exclusive, and he will sync. He gets syncs all the time for music. But as a filmmaker, you can use that as well and pull your music from there.
Okay, last but not least, stand up, Cam. All of a sudden, she's gotten so shy.
Okay, to answer your question real quick, Miss Deb right here from Two Star Symphony, she's already composed a few films, and they were great. And I think she'd be worth talking to if you don't want to go to the internet immediately. You got somebody right there. Before, I don't want to waste too much time. I wrote down my question. But to add, first of all, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Southwest Airlines for getting me here safely today and on time, despite the storms. But I wanted to just add to what Mark said about Matthew changing the recipe for the industry. Now, and to what you said as well about, your image and how you might need to change things. 50 pounds ago, nobody was listening to my music. And it wasn't because of the way I looked. The music was terrible. But the moment that it was terrible. I was making really bad music. It was badly produced. It wasn't mixed. It wasn't mastered. But nobody was telling me that. Now, when somebody finally told me, hey, you are capable of making better music. You are capable of doing better. That's what I focused on. And once I stopped focusing on everything on the outside and I started focusing on the content of what I was putting out, my career changed dramatically. And I just want other people to know that image can always be fixed. You can always work on your music. You can always work on your image. You can hire somebody to work on your image. But like Matthew said, and like she said with the voice lessons and with getting better as an artist, they can teach you, but it's going to be you doing the work to become the artist that you want to be. I can put on a dress, I can put on makeup, I can lose 50 pounds and start making rap music again, but it's all involved in what I'm doing. Now, my question is, we've heard a lot about the successes that you've all had and about, what you did to get to where you are. But I think what old dude was talking about, or at least trying to ask earlier, is when it comes to the failures, how do you pursue? I personally would like to hear one moment that wasn't so much, oh, I couldn't make rent, or somebody didn't answer my email. I would like to hear something just genuine that really got to you, that made you almost want to quit, but you kept going anyway.
You want me to start?
When I started in 1995, God, I'm dating myself again. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have databases. We had these lovely books called Bacon's. And Bacon's was the phone book from hell of nothing but media people throughout the world. It was extremely expensive. We also didn't have long distance. We had to pay for it. We didn't have unlimited long distance. We didn't have many fax machines. Some people had them, some people didn't. So you know what I had to do? And I'll one of these days I'm going to bring my old daytimer. I literally called. There was a show. Remember this show, Carol and Marilyn, The Real Friends? They were the two housewives that were friends. I had a client that was on EMI. He wanted to be on that show. I didn't know how to find Carol and Marilyn, Real Friends. I didn't even know where they were. I called the local station and asked. I had to start calling people and racking up humongous phone bills to be told, I'm sorry, we're no longer booking for the show, we've been canceled. I had a lot of failures with that because I had to go and find those people to even call. I got hung up on all the time. I've been hung up on more times than I'm embraced. I was at the Oscars with Dallas Buyers Club, and I was standing there, this is a true story, with the president of VH1 and the president of Dick Clark Productions. They were both standing there toasting me with champagne. I smiled at them, and I said, you and you have both hung up on me more times than I can imagine. Their mouth hung open. And I said, I'm not mad. I said, I just won 3 Oscars, and we toasted. Okay, that's a failure, but it turned into a positive. You cannot be afraid. If you're afraid to fail, get up and go. I'm dead dang serious. This is not for the weak. I may be a mom. I may have a ponytail on my head and running around at baseball and soccer games, but my kids know I am dead dang serious about this. This is not a weak sport at all. We are not weak. Don't sit here and take the smiles as being weak. Not even close. And you have to be stronger than we are. Okay? Do not be weak. Go for it, or don't do it at all.
I mean, that's a really good question. I would say 6 months ago, when I was halfway into starting whatever it is that Wonky Power Records is right now, 6 months ago, I was with my fiance saying, hey, you know what? I need to find a full-time job again. This is getting crazy. I don't have no money. Do you have money? We had to figure it out. And I told her we're gonna make it work. I don't know how we're going to make it work, but I care so much about music and the music culture that we're creating and everything that's about to explode that we're going to figure it out. And 6 months later, I'm here on top of the stage, and things are way better, and everything is going well, thankfully, but I'm still striving for it, and we're still trying to get better and bigger. And I hope that after this discussion, we all can get together and really talk and all hang out and really talk about what we want to talk about, not just up here with microphones and you guys have no microphones, because everybody needs a microphone. We all need to talk about everything that's going on. But yeah, I mean, we've had our lows, and mine was 6 months ago, and thankfully now things are better. So I could say that it's because of every single one of you and everybody that's here, because we've all worked together. So there you go. And thank you, Southwest Airlines, Ozarka, and St. Arnold, baby.
First of all, if you're any kind of artist with your salt, then where you live is in failure. It's not in success, okay? Like, I've known bands that are at the peak of what we would consider to be a successful band, and they're still terrified. This is not a job with a pension plan and health benefits. This is a job where you have to be terrified in order to make good art. Because first and foremost, you're an artist. Before everything else, you're an artist. And there's never been good art coming from comfort and, ease. I think that, I know, Cam, I was with you. We were suffering, still suffering, always suffering. I can think of 1,000 points of rejection and failure. I can think of people that have told me, okay, well, if you pushed your boobs up a little bit more, if you looked a little bit more like this, if you could straighten your hair, or no, more afro. I mean, that's just the nature of this game. I think so long as you hold true to yourself, every failure should not just be a lesson. It should be, okay, this is why I do this. I do this so that I can prove you wrong. I do this so I can prove myself wrong. I do this because it's the only thing that I know how to do. People are always going to reject you. That is part of it. And once again, like Stacia said, if you can't take rejection, you really need to get out of this, because that is all this is, from beginning to end, from the day you pick up your first instrument or your first microphone to the day you win your 50th Grammy. It is always going to be a game of rejection, and that is the only truth that I know about music.
So thank you for the question, first of all, and thank you for your comments. I just wrote a book called The DNA of Achievers, 10 Traits of Highly Successful People. One of the chapters is learning from failure. And I started out by saying failure is an opportunity to grow, not a reason to quit. Think about that. Failure is an opportunity to grow, not a reason to quit. And all the comments that we heard are so true. I can tell you, when you have this kind of success I've been blessed and grateful for, you're going to have a lot of failures, because I'm a risk taker. You can't be successful by being safe. You have to do something different, something amazing. I've had failures with albums because the songs were whack. I always say Beyonce could have the greatest look, the best dancer, the best vocalist, but at the end of the day, if the song is whack, it equals whack. To me, it all starts also with a song. We didn't talk about that tonight, how important a great song is. I couldn't help but say, when this young lady said, be true to yourself, I thought about failure with my youngest daughter, Solange, when I spent $1 million on marketing me because she wanted to be true to herself. Because there's a business side of this. I've had, we, as a record label, we do this to make a financial profit, not shy about it at all. Why wouldn't I? Why would I invest money in somebody and not want to get a return? So I've had failure in that with a number of artists. I've had failure because I held on to an artist or a record too long. I've had failure because, and I talk about my book, I booked a tour, not a tour, but a New Year's Eve date in St. Bart's. And I didn't research with my agent. And then the media came out with, well, the promoter are the two Gaddafi brothers. And Beyonce got a big black eye for that. We had to give all the money back. I had failure because I didn't do my due diligence as a manager and go all the way to say, okay, you got this date, who's giving it to me? I've had failure because my artist didn't want to work hard enough. I just had failure because I agreed to something that I knew was wrong. My artist came with a name called Blush Music, B-L-U-S-H-H-H Music. Well, if you don't spell the damn name correctly, you can't buy it any damn where. Because who spells Blush Music like that? And I've had failure. I'm having failure with it now. Have to change the name and spend a significant amount of money to change the name. All of those things are critical. So you can't be successful, folks, without having failure. Embrace failure. Don't be scared of it. Embrace it and learn from it and say, okay, I won't do it that way again. I learned from it. That's the only way you're going to be successful, is fail.
So I hope you will join me in thanking all of these folks for being here tonight. This was great. So thank y'all for being here. 2 weeks from tonight, we'll be talking about innovation in Houston, and you talking about people that are stretching and that are going for more and that are going for bigger. It's going to be this panel that'll be talking about innovation. And then on October the 11th, we'll be talking about food in Houston with some of the top the top chefs in Houston that are coming to join us to talk about how they made their mark around food in Houston. So we hope you'll come back over the next 2 sessions, as well as the over 600 free events that we do here. Thank these folks again, and they will be joining us here for a little bit. So if you want to hang out and talk to them,
We're going to hold you to coming up with an idea that all of these people can have a venue where they can perform. I'm going to hold you to that.
We are going to be coming up with that idea.
Thank you so
We
much,
The word
neighbor.
is here. I have a freebie. It's Discovery Green. Discover Houston Music Green. There's a lot to work with there.